Hi, guys. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today, I have a great guest, my good friend Mike Cilio, who wasn't just a cop, but he was in the aviation unit. So he's like an elite cop. He's much better than I am. Mike has tremendous insight. He's also worked with presidential details, and I can't wait to speak to him about what happened with our president. Mike, what's up, brother? Thank you.
Nice to see you, brother.
I know it's been a while.
It's been a while.
How do you see me? Okay, the sound, everything is okay.
Everything's perfect. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I know that obviously everyone has seen it, but I want to go through the actual shooting. We'll talk about the media coverage, and then we'll go from there. Let me see if I can get this to work right.
Take a look at what happened.
You hear that girl scream?
Yeah.
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
We ready?
Okay, that's the snipers, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're good to move.
Clear.
Let's
clear.
move. Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
Dude, you gotta love that, bro. Let me get my shoes.
You know, the man is a warrior. I mean, and just to circle back a little bit, just watching that, like the emotions that, I don't know how you felt, but when I watched that, the anger that I felt immediately was almost akin to like when they knocked down the World Trade Center.
I knew you were going to say 9/11. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
I felt that moment there. Because to me, it was not only an attack on what I think is one of the most greatest presidents of all time, but it was an attack on everybody. You know,
Right.
That's an attack on our country. That's an attack on just, I think, everybody in this country who loves this country. You know.
Yeah. Megyn Kelly was saying, we'll get into the media response a little bit later, but you know, they're all worried. Like, we don't go out and riot. We're not BLM. We're not Antifa. We're Trump supporters and we're conservatives. But I'm going to play clips later of, you know, they're upset that Trump didn't come out and say, let's tone down the rhetoric. Meanwhile, obviously it's only coming from the left. But she was saying that Trump supporters have a right to be angry. She specified, don't go out and riot. You know, we're not about violence. But I was sad, but I was pissed. I was pissed, and I was very emotional too.
Yeah, but like my initial response to the anger wasn't to seek revenge. You know, my wife stopped me because I immediately ran to my basement. And when I ran to my basement, I ran to retrieve my Trump flag, you know, and yeah. It was on another flagpole, and I had to clip these zip ties off because I wanted to fly my Trump flag because I wanted to show resolve. You know, like, I love this guy. Look
Right.
what this man has done for this country. So, like, my initial reaction wasn't what the media would perceive it to be or what they were going to, you know, disseminate out there that they would think it to be to seek revenge. It wasn't about that. And
right. It was like the way we came together for 9/11.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you come together as a country and you unite, you know?
Yeah. I think those days are gone, man. I hate to say it. But I love when he said, let me get my shoes. And I know Secret Service is taking some heat because they're saying that they left him on stage too long. He was exposed. Everyone's saying, how do you know there wasn't a second shooter? But you hear Secret Service saying, shooters down. That's when they got him up. And let me finish playing, and then we'll stop with the fist bump. Let's get everybody else.
Sir, I got you. Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold on, your head is bloody.
No, sir, we got to move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay,
Watch out.
Wait. I love it, bro.
I love that, man. That just like brings chills to my spine. Down my spine.
I know. I know. They there's a graphic, I'll put it up in post, where you see like how he turned his head. It had to be just when the guy, pulled the trigger. I have a slow motion video of that, and I play it over and over. Let me know what you think of this. Watch this. Watch the little head tilt. Look, what? Hold on. See it? See the head tilt?
Yeah.
That's what saved him, bro.
I mean, that's like, if you look at that, it's a matter of 2 or 3 degrees of just rotation of his head.
Yep.
I'm telling you, there was some sort of divine intervention there.
Miracle.
And a miracle. Yeah. He wasn't supposed to die. He wasn't supposed to die that day for a reason.
Did you see the flag? They're saying that the way the flag was hanging looked like an angel or an eagle.
Yeah, I did see that.
You know what I was thinking about when he was on the ground, bro? And there's a couple of pictures, they got really good pictures. Does he really need this? Like any other billionaire, any other 78-year-old billionaire would be on a beach. This guy's got houses, buildings all over the world. And he's the only guy that actually lost money taking the White House. And he's willing to go back for no salary.
Yep.
I don't think people realize he did this for free. He took a pay cut. First, they tried to, they killed his presidency with the Russia hoax. After his president, they impeached him twice for bullshit. And then after that, it's they're trying to bankrupt him. Letitia James. They're trying to put him in jail. They're trying to take away his freedom. And now they're trying to take away his life. And I'm just saying, is there any part of him? I don't know do you think he regrets running?
No, I don't think so. I think he loves his country too much. And, when you're that status and you have that much money and you have the ability to do anything you want, I believe you get bored with that. I really do. And I think you need to find some philanthropy or something that you want to help, because think about it. If you could have anything you want at any given moment, the well's going to run dry for your creativity. But I just think that, he loves the country so much that he was, willing to lose everything for it. And he has.
Absolutely. He's lost. I mean,
forget about money that he's lost. But look at all the I'm not going to use the word credibility, but these false smears. I mean, Hollywood loved this guy.
I know.
To be with
So did New
Trump.
York, bro.
Yeah.
So did New York. He brought New York back in the 70s when he bought the Commodore Hotel.
Yes.
When he fixed the Woolman rink at Central Park.
Yeah, fixed it in 6 months.
Well, many people thought the skating rink in Central Park was abandoned, but now there is something to cheer about. The Woolman skating rink in Central Park is open again. The city spent nearly 6 years and $12 million trying to fix it. And then to the rescue, developer Donald Trump. As Tracy Egan tells us now, he accomplished in 3.5 months what the city couldn't do in 6 years.
Mayor Koch and Donald Trump shook hands and came out complimenting each other for reopening Woolman Rink.
Donald, you performed a great public service.
No roadblocks were put up. In fact, it was the exact opposite. We've gotten our permits, our approvals. We've gotten everything as quickly as it could be gotten.
Everything included the city's permission to step in and finish the project, originally scheduled for completion in 1982, but repeatedly delayed.
We executed quickly. We came in 3 months ahead of schedule, and we saved this entire season, which really we're very happy about. And we also came in $750,000 under budget.
But Trump says now that it's done, the city should be able to enjoy the Woolman Rink for the next 50 to 100 years.
He played a vital role in bringing back New York City from the 70s.
He did.
He has to feel like they turned on him.
Yeah.
One of the things I put on Twitter when Brad came back and said that, when they came back with the guilty verdict for that bullshit trial, I said, I'll never be ashamed to be an American or to be a cop, but I was ashamed to be a New Yorker.
Well, he didn't run on saving the city from crime or he ran on
Exactly.
getting Trump. That was it. And the voters, I mean, I just don't understand it. I'm a lifelong New York, resident myself. But sometimes, and I travel the country a lot, as you know, because I fly. But I'm sometimes embarrassed to say I'm from New York because I don't want people to think I'm associated with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I say to people, I'm from New York, but that's why I left.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I'm not one of them. I left because it's disgraceful, bro. That's a whole nother Eric Adams. I mean, we could talk about the police department and stuff. We were debating what should we talk about? Cop stuff? Should we talk about, because when we first decided we were going to do the podcast, Trump hadn't named his VP pick. So we figured we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah. Obviously this happened, so it's going to take the whole show, but it's just, he doesn't need it, bro. He absolutely doesn't need it. Let's talk about the Secret Service.
Where do you want to start?
Well, a lot of people, I'm going to tell you where I think the main issue is. You could disagree with me. I know not everyone will agree with me. There's some DEI issues that people have spoken about. There's why do you have a 5'2" woman trying to cover a guy that's 6'2"? I think the biggest issue is, I don't blame the sniper. If you actually have a clip of the sniper, let's go to see if I can show you this of the sniper. When you look at the sniper on the roof, I heard that it might be a hybrid, that some might be Secret Service guys, some might be local police departments. Mm-hmm. You see him, he obviously saw the shooter. And what I think, and I don't know if this is true or not, it just looks like he's looking through the scope. He looks up to confirm, is that what I think it is? And then he hears the shot.
I've watched that clip.
He goes back to the scope and he killed. I think the sniper did a really good job. I also heard another Secret Service guy saying there's something, I forgot what term he used, but I heard that the police, they were using that as a setup area, like a stage. You've done presidential visits, right? Any cop on any uniform, on any building has to be in uniform.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we don't want to mistake an anti-crime guy or someone, in plain clothes or a detective as he might be a bad guy and we take him out. So they got to be in uniform. But the cops use that as a staging area. And I think he may have thought the cops are in that building, local
they were
police.
in that building. Yeah. So
in that building,
a lot of information's coming out today I guess that was a mobilization point for whatever, or something in that building, specific building. But the one thing that I've seen now is there was a ladder. Like, this kid allegedly brought a ladder there. It wasn't there.
Is that true though?
I don't know. Again, if that is true, that's concerning, because if you're seeing somebody walking down a street with a ladder and probably a bag with a rifle in it, because you can't tuck a rifle down your pants like you can a handgun.
Dude, they saw the scope. They saw him looking through the scope, and they said that they thought it was binoculars.
Okay, so if you got somebody,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what was going to say? So you got a light colored roof. I think we discussed this in our phone call, really. Right. And the shooter's wearing dark contrasting clothing. Okay, he's not looking to blend in with anything on the roof. So it was an eyesore for the spectators who were pointing it out to people, but yet, who they were pointing it out to on the ground, I don't think they challenged that guy until, I don't know, there was like a minute and 26 seconds before from the time he was noticed to the shots rang out. That's a lot of time,
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Here's the thing, bro. Are the snipers on the roof on the same frequency as the cops on the ground?
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the NYPD. How many times did we have a breakdown of communications with other agencies?
Yeah, I know.
Could we communicate with Secret Service if we were posted somewhere? No. Could we hear their communications? No.
Right. So if we can't do it, then a small town, like Butler, Pennsylvania, they're not going to be able to do it. Although I heard they had state police. But you would think that someone would say, hey, take a radio.
Yeah.
So we can communicate, even if you're on a different channel, at least take one of my radios. But I heard that he didn't have a ladder. I heard that when the police engaged him, well, first Let me show you the sniper popping his head up and then popping down. Now you see him, he's zeroed in, right? Watch him lift his head. See? And then bam. I mean, that's a pretty good shot, bro.
Yeah.
Up, watch, up. Is that what I think it is? And then boom.
Yeah.
And he gets the shot back off.
Yeah, I mean, that's skill to get the gun right back on target. I don't know what the distance was from the sniper to the shooter, but
if you look at that layout, bro, how can they? I think this all comes down to one thing: coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Coverage. Why wasn't someone on that roof? Now, I'm going to play the witness. The witness says at the very end of this clip, he says, "I don't think the snipers could have seen him, if I heard it correctly, because of the slope of the roof." Which is why a local PD cop went up there to confront him. We'll get to that in a second. Sure. Let me see if I can play this witness.
We noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
So one thing that jumps out at me is you've done presidential details in Manhattan or in other boroughs, right?
Right.
And whenever the motorcade, let's call it, or whenever the principal is on the move, and all the high ground is always covered, whether it's uniformed cops, ESU, or a combination of any other agencies like Secret Service or something like that. I mean, just alone, you're in an open field, an open area. It's not hard to cover the high ground there. And if you look behind this guy, there's a water tower, like way in the distance there. I don't know where that was in relation to the stage. I heard they had that covered.
When you look at that graph, bro, I think that it was incredible amount of miscommunication, and a lot of what happened with 9/11 was because the agencies weren't talking to each other.
Yeah,
it could happen. It happened. You know what? It happens when you would know about this when you're flying a plane, right? If there's something that goes wrong, I see on TV all the time. One of the pilots would say, "I've got controls," and the other guy would say, "You got controls," right? Just to confirm.
You have to always confirm exchange of controls, and also, I mean, before you have you're going to brief that beforehand. So if you're doing a takeoff, you're going to brief that with your co-pilot and say, hey, if there's an emergency, I'm going to fly the airplane. You're going to communicate. You're going to run the checklist. But there's always going to be some sort of brief before that. Now, you and I both know with some big events like this, there's major briefings going on of who's doing what and what's getting covered. There's briefing packages. I've been privy to some of those briefs, being in the aviation unit, and limited to, because even in a marked police helicopter, we had a standoff distance as well. Because
you had a what?
We had a standoff distance as well to when the president came. We couldn't stay within a certain, close to where the president was arriving. Let's say he was arriving in Kennedy, in Kennedy Airport. we couldn't be too close to in a hover with the helicopter. We'd have to be on a standoff distance. You know?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So
really?
and when they're on the move as well, that's we have to stay in trail. You know, so they even though there's local law enforcement, there's also an element of protection there as well. You know.
Wow.
Because I mean, I guess the thought process is there could be somebody else embedded in law enforcement that's looking to do something evil as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all vetted to a point.
Here's the other thing. When they say that the cop confronted him, I heard. I'll put the clip in post, but supposedly the cop was notified. He went to climb on the roof without a ladder. Another cop helped him up. And when he was climbing on the roof, the guy took the scope and the rifle and pointed it at him. And the cop went to duck and fell off the roof.
And tonight, ABC News has learned that heavily armed local police were stationed inside that building and missed Thomas Crooks climbing up the outside of the building to the roof. The same building was being used as a staging area for local police, according to 2 law enforcement officials. And Butler Township officials are confirming ABC News' reporting that a local police officer climbed up the roof and confronted Brooks moments before the shooting.
The officer grabbed hold of the edge of the building, pulled himself up to be able to look. Shooter turned, rifle was pointed at the officer. The officer, defensive move, kind of ducked, fell, lost his grip on the building.
Investigators tonight trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The shooter climbing seemingly unimpeded, about 400 feet from the stage, with a direct line of sight on the former president.
People are saying he should have shot him. He should have shot him. And I know that in some cases, in a perfect world, especially in the movies, that's what you would do. But I want to tell you what I was told in the police academy. I don't know if I should say the guy was great. Instructor Smalls was the instructor. Great guy.
Yeah, and I didn't have Smalls, but
he said, well, I came on in 92. You came on in 91?
91, yeah. Yeah. He was your gym instructor?
He was a law instructor.
Oh, okay.
Great guy. Great guy. Yeah. He said he was talking about how he was in a shooting. And he said he turned the corner and there was the guy, pulled a gun on him. He said, now, I want you to raise your hand and I want you to tell me what you would have done. And he'll just call on people, he made their life miserable, but it was great. Yeah. And he said, now, all of you idiots that say or believe the first thing you do when someone's pointing a gun at you is, I'm going to shoot him first. He said, all of you guys that are thinking that, put your hands down. He said, because I can tell you that's not what you're going to do. It is human instinct. And in training, when someone is pointing a gun at you, whenever there's a threat, the first thing you're going to do, even if you don't want to, is seek cover.
Yeah.
Get out of the line of sight, duck behind something, a mailbox, a car, something, just to get out of the way. Then once you're established, you could return fire. The question is, did he seek cover for 3 seconds or did he hide for like 3 minutes? If it's true that this cop fell off the roof, then, how can you fault him for that? I think the main issue is,
well, you're on a ladder. If you're on a ladder and you're just peering over the top.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he was on a ladder. They're saying the sheriff said that he climbed up.
No, you're talking about the cop or you're talking about the shooter?
I'm talking about the cop. The cop that got up there and had to let go.
Yeah. So how did he get up there? The cop, did he go on externally?
My dog's going to be barking any second. We'll have to cut this out too. I heard that another cop lifted him up. I think there was a dumpster there that he climbed on, and who knows? Mm-hmm. But the sheriff said, I'll play the clip. He said there was no ladder.
Okay.
But how did the shooter get on? He didn't bring a ladder up with him. He must have climbed up the same way.
Authorities now say they believe the shooter was able to access the roof by climbing over an air conditioning unit next to the building.
Secret Service is thinking, not the NYPD, but local police have that building covered.
Yeah.
And the local police are thinking, well, the Secret Service can obviously see what's going on. This is like, I used to tell people, this is how children go missing, a lack of communication, where you're at a park or a concert or a movie. The dad gets up to go to the bathroom and the kid says, I'm going to go with you. Or, the mom goes to order food and the kid goes, I'm going to go with you. One parent thinks, I thought you saw them. I thought you had it. And the other one says, I thought you had it. I thought that she stayed with you. I didn't know. So that's why I was talking about the communication about the airline. You know, when you're flying a plane, you need to specifically say, are you covering that building? Or are you? Right. I know that you say you got it, but does that mean you're going to put a guy up there? Or, you know, like, it needed to be crystal clear. I don't know how they were tacking up inside that building, and this guy got on there with a rifle.
It blows my mind.
It's not like a handgun, bro. It's big. It's huge.
And was he up there prior to everybody, you know, coming to the event? I don't know. I mean, did he stay on the roof for a long time? But
I heard he was in the building. I don't know if that's true or not.
So is there like a staircase that goes up to the roof of the building? It looks like a shed. I mean, I know it doesn't look like a building that would have internal access to a roof.
Yeah.
You know, like.
It doesn't look like you'd have a pop-up, right?
Yeah, like we had, you know, like, and you worked in Harlem, but, you know, I worked in Brooklyn, but same type of buildings, you know, 3 stories, 6 families or whatever, and you go up to the top, and there's a ladder that goes up to the roof, a little hatch, and you pop out. It didn't look like that type of structure. It looked like a shed.
That's a good question. I should look at the
corrugated
roof.
Steel. You know, it looked like a corrugated steel building and a corrugated steel roof, from what I could see.
So he must have gotten up the way the cop got up, because if he brought a ladder, there would be a ladder on scene. Right?
Yeah. I could have sworn I was looking at I was reading a couple of things this morning, and they showed a picture there now of a ladder. Now, I don't know if that ladder was brought there later, maybe after the whole thing happened, just to bring, you know, people up to the roof, but they showed a ladder. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, one of the people who are really pissed about this is, I know you follow Dan Bongino, right?
Yeah, Dan's great.
He ripped them, bro.
You have one job and only one job. Your job is keep the body alive no matter what. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the president of Djibouti, it doesn't matter. That is your job. They absolutely, resolutely, 100% failed. Not a single excuse should be made. Not a single excuse should be attempted. This should be the subject of congressional hearings and investigations, because if they can't do this, and this is the best technology you had, then folks, there's no purpose anymore. This isn't the agency I grew up in. The failure here is absolutely catastrophic. And I got to tell you, the Secret Service should be very careful. This was an apocalyptic security failure. And don't ever forget, an uneventful failure is never a success. And the fact that Donald Trump didn't die yesterday is no reason for anybody to take some kind of victory lap. And before we start sending out plaudits, we better look and do a hot wash on this and find out exactly how abysmal this security plan was.
He was on today telling the media, you better get with it. You better get on the right side of this. Even though you hate me, I'm talking to all the Congress people. Don't come out and believe this, that they didn't ask for security. They absolutely asked for additional security, and it was denied.
I can tell you and absolutely confirm from the horse's mouth, from multiple people, not just one, and I saw Congressman Waltz text this out before on X, there have been repeated requests to increase the security footprint around not just the residences of Donald Trump, but the body itself. And they have been rebuffed. Like I said, I can tell you actual quotes. The Secret Service directors completely failed and candidly should resign today. Kim Cheadle has failed Donald Trump and honestly failed Joe Biden, too. He's the president right now.
I mean, why would you deny them? Like, are we really going to say that we're worried about money?
Why would they deny RFK? I mean, you know.
That's crazy. This is the thing, bro. I don't want to, inflame the rhetoric, right? Like, why would you want to pass a bill? There's a couple of Democrats that did it, that insisted on taking away Secret Service protection if Trump was incarcerated. Why would you want to do that unless you wanted him dead?
It's almost like saying, let's kill him, but without killing him. It's almost, by just
let's allow it to happen.
Yeah, let's allow it to happen. Right, exactly. But it just happened as a result of this. It's clear. The messaging was clear there. Why they wanted to get rid of his security detail. Because they wanted to open up that door for someone to do what they did on Saturday.
Why would they not give it to RFK? His father was killed. His uncle was killed.
You know why they didn't want to give it to him? because he was challenging the machine. And when you challenge the machine, you can't win. And they thought, wait, you're one of us. You know, you're a Democrat. You got to let, it's assumed that, you know, you have to let the leading candidate, Biden, win. You can't challenge him. So it was almost like he was being punished, right?
Exactly.
He was being punished for challenging Biden. And you're supposed to go with the program. You know, and they rant and rave about democracy, but they're the ones who are just destroying democracy by doing something like that. You know, I don't agree with policies of RFK. I don't agree with policies of Biden. But everybody who's a candidate is a target, and they need to have a form of protection. You know,
when we were on the job, I was there for Clinton, Bush, obviously Bush around 9/11. I got out before Obama, so it was I probably, and the Pope, right? If the Pope was coming, like any big detail, just to you know, drive home the fact that every roof is covered. I remember standing there and saying for like 6, 7, 8 hours, saying, "Are we in the right spot?" And you check the detail roster, and you check like you know, are we in the right spot? And you were saying when you came down. Did you see the motorcade?
Yeah.
Was it canceled? Was the visit canceled?
I remember being on a rooftop somewhere in Manhattan for like 6 hours, and I think this was a Clinton visit. I was a rookie cop, and I'm up there, and it's raining now. I have my raincoat on, you know, and we're up there 6 hours. I think I go to meal. I come back. You know, we had a mirror relief guy, and then all of a sudden I look over the radio. You know, the detail's dismissed, and I'm like, "How are we dismissed?" The guy, like, so, you know, there was always an element of overkill, I guess, right? Because in case the routing have to change, but that's good. That's a good thing,
right? So that's why along that thinking, there's always overkill. Why would you want to deny Secret Service protection to RFK and Trump? I mean, overkill is the name of the game, and it's funny that it's coming from Mayorkas, who has no problem letting, you know, spending a $500 billion on the illegals, but he can't come up with, you know, we're just talking thousands for more manpower.
And one of the things that the NYPD was great at, and you know this as well as I do, is omnipresence, right? So you'd make the presence appear that it was bigger than it actually was. Park freaking radio cars, marked police cars. You know, I remember when they started to change over. I think this was probably after you left. They made the traffic and school safety all the same colors as the radio cars. You know, which was like a two-bladed sword. You know, so like these guys are going to be getting flagged down in that armed when there's an armed robbery because people think that's a police car, right? But the flip side of it is they could put more of these cars out there and let people think that it's almost like a false sense of security. There's a whole bunch of police cars.
You want to show, like you said, the omnipresence, a deterrent. You know, I got asked one time in the psych interview. They don't the way they see that you're crazy is if you give one answer. Remember it was like an 8-hour test.
Mm-hmm.
It'll ask you on like question 200
repetitively, and
like to see if you change your mind, right?
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, do you believe a police officer needs a gun to exercise authority? And it's somewhere in that 1600 question test. I wrote yes, and then somewhere later it was a similar question, and I wrote no. So that was flagged. So during the oral psych interview, she asked me about that, and I said, and I kind of gave a politician's answer, but I think it's kind of accurate. I said, listen, a cop's best weapon is his mouth. How you can
100%.
Decipher situations, maybe talk the guy off a roof, talk a guy down who's maybe holding someone hostage or wants to hurt himself. So it starts, you don't need a weapon for that. However, if you have like a bank robbery or something big and you see ESU come out with the long gun, the big guns with the steel helmets and the shields, or you see K9 there with a couple of German Shepherds, that show of force might make someone think twice.
Yeah.
And when you see all of the holes in this detail, I mean, it's just astonishing that there was almost no show of force.
No.
And they're getting on the girl that jumped on him because she's saying she was so short. they have a point, but at least she did that. The other girl later, like was it Bongino? Someone was saying that these were temps, that they weren't really assigned to the Secret Service or they were on loan from somewhere else. I don't know if that's true or not. They look confused.
They
look,
did. Yes.
You know, and I hate to second guess people like that. I think when they rushed the stage, I think those guys did well.
Yeah.
Because they really covered him. I know that they're supposed to get him off there quicker. A lot of people were saying that.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I actually kind of jumped the gun because I was on this group text with some old cops that I worked with, and I was infuriated. I'm like, they dropped the ball on this. This was horrible, and there was a little back and forth, and a couple of one of the guys I worked with, a good friend of mine, got a little pissed at me. He's like, they did a good job. You're you're a moron or whatever. I'm like, so I got heated up because I'm like, because I kept on seeing him exposed too much. Yeah. And when they brought him up, his head was exposed, his torso was exposed. Like my thoughts, is get him covered and get him the fuck out of there.
Right.
Get him out of there. There was a lot of tussle on that stage. Now, granted, I just found out that behind that barrier there, with the stars and stripes, that's a bulletproof barrier.
Yeah.
So they get him below there and they keep him safe there until they evaluate. And I guess that's when
but at that point, he's already. Yeah. At that point, he was already shot.
He's already hit.
And that's one thing where, like I said, Megyn Kelly ripped this the female DEI stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. She threw herself in the crowd, but when you're a foot shorter than the person you're supposed to protect, he was completely exposed. And when they took him to the car, did you see how ridiculous? Let me ask you a question. They're all coming down hard on the agent that couldn't even holster her gun.
Yeah, I watched that. That was painful.
Let me ask you a question. You tell me you saw it, right?
Yeah, it's painful to watch. It was really
it is painful. Megyn Kelly described it as a bunch of sorority sisters that are hungover.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest about 5'5" women standing in front of a 6'3" man as his protector. It's absurd. It's not a question of sexism. My God, this is a joke. You don't put a 5'5" woman in front of a 6'3" man as his protector. The headshot was right there. Had there been another shooter, it would have been easy to take him out. I mean, the circle around President Trump was exposed. It had a massive flaw in it. This is later when they were getting him into the car. And here's the one woman who can't reholster her weapon. Again, I hate to be so critical because I can't holster a weapon, but I am not working as Secret Service. I have absolutely no pardon for the female Secret Service officers who looked incompetent. They looked incompetent in the video that we've all seen. Not necessarily on the stage. The one woman there seemed to be doing her best to protect him, just like the male agents, but she was too short. But however, when they were bringing the president over to the vehicle, the secure vehicle, to get him away, it looked like it would look like a bunch of sorority sisters who were hungover. The one with the ponytail whipping around, she didn't know where she was going. The other one who couldn't reholster her weapon. Not one of these women inspires any confidence. And by the way, if they're 30 years old, it would be a lot. I mean, they seem very young and they don't seem in control or command at all. Look at this woman. She doesn't know what she's doing. She gets her sunglasses back. Okay, great. This woman on the left looks like the one who was crouching earlier, though I can't say it for a fact. And I want to talk about the diversity effort. I mean, it looks obvious. It's so absurd to try to paint this as female empowerment. Is it female empowerment to take a bunch of women who are obviously unqualified for the job and let them publicly humiliate themselves and endanger the lives of a president and his fans? Is that female empowerment? That's a national embarrassment for womankind. The women who look like me, who are, on the smaller side and could easily be run over by a 5'7" male, have no business being there, Chuck.
Well, let me just ask you this, Paul. You were a cop for a long time. I was a cop for 27 years. And one thing I never did wrong was holster my weapon. I know. You knew it. It's a muscle memory. You just know. You never miss, And,
there's a picture of her hiding, too.
That's why you draw from the holster at the range, right?
Yeah. Here's a question I want to ask you, and you might disagree with me. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to disagree with me. People are going to say, the president was shot. Of course you need your gun out. But I would ask, why is her firearm even out of the holster? And this is why I asked that. At that point, you have the sniper team there.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're putting him in the beast, right, in the limousine.
Mm-hmm.
When cops lose their guns, if it's close combat and you take your gun out, you know there's a risk. I could lose, weapon retention is a big thing, right? I could lose my gun.
Mm-hmm.
Only take it out if you need to. If the guy's across the street, it's no problem. But when you're that close to something. So what I saw was she has the gun out and she has it in her hand. Why do you need a gun out when you're like this, when you're opening the door for the president, when you're hugging the president? Like, that gun should have stayed holstered. She's not going to shoot anyone.
I agree with you 100% with that.
Okay, good.
I agree. Weapon retention, huge. And now you're moving, like you said, you're touching the president, your hands on him.
Exactly. She's got her
So
hands.
you could have an
all over the
accidental
car.
discharge. You could have the shooter could have failed to shoot Trump and kill him, but now you have an accidental discharge and he gets shot from friendly fire. No, and that's a possibility. Yeah, I thought the same exact thing. I go, why is her gun out at this point? The shooter was neutralized. There's always an element of a second shooter. We know that, but I think by that point, the whole situation was under control as far as firearms go,
Yes.
And there was no need to have that weapon out of its holster.
Okay, so we totally agree
weapon
on that.
control is huge, man. You know that, and I know that.
I mean, especially you're running around. And let me ask you a question. I don't know the answer to this. Why do they have to put on their sunglasses? You saw one agent drop her sunglasses. She picked it up 3 times. Was there that much glare? Like, what's the purpose of that?
I don't understand that. I don't know if she was trying to look the look of a Secret Service
even at a
agent.
time like that.
I've heard. Again, I don't know the Secret Service little secrets. I've heard they have mirrors on their glasses that you could see behind.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Why do you need to see behind you? Trump's behind you.
Right. Exactly. Well,
Trump's in the car.
Yeah.
And
your back should be to the principal, right? That's when we worked presidential details. If you were lining the
cover
streets,
the target, right?
Yeah, cover the target. Yeah. You face the crowd. Face the crowd. Face the crowd. Because if you're not facing the crowd, you're not going to see the threat.
Right.
So, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the instinctive was to keep on picking up the glasses. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, she did it a couple of times.
I think a lot of it was due to complacency. I think there weren't. If this detail never had any type of, action, let's call it. I don't want to use that word, but that's kind of like the civilian word for. But I don't think she or he or the whole group they became very complacent. I think that's what happens all the time. There's always some people get complacent and their training is conducted in a controlled environment, right? Maybe not with live fire in the background. And this was the first time they heard live fire, or she heard live fire. And then the shit hit the fan and she's like, this is real. And the training went out the window, And that happens. And I can tell you that happens in aviation a lot too. You try to train to a model where you have a muscle memory and you're just going to react automatically to that. But when there's gunfire, people react differently. And maybe she wasn't, or he wasn't, or the group wasn't exposed to live fire. When you're in a controlled training environment, it's easy to do everything perfectly, right?
All the time. Yeah, exactly. I think it all comes down to someone should have been on the roof.
Yeah,
that's it.
This is basics. Like let's talk the basic protection and then the advanced protection, right? So basic protection is cover all the high points. That's like the most basic thing, and that's where they failed. That was their failure. And let's say if it was something. Let's go to the movie. I think it's called In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood, right? Remember that movie?
I remember that.
Where he played the Secret Service agent?
Yep.
And, I forget who the guy was. Murdoch from the A-Team was the shooter, right?
Yeah.
And he built this elaborate gun out of wood, so he got past the metal detectors. Now, that would be an advanced failure, right? So we didn't catch that. So, we didn't catch that. The guy built a wood gun and he had bullets in it, whatever. And the bullets were there and he put them in the wood gun. I would say, all right, that's pretty elaborate. That was well planned. But this was a basic, I'm going to go on the roof and try to shoot the guy. I mean, that's like basic protection stuff,
It's amazing, bro.
It is amazing. I mean, that is amazing. That's amazing.
It is. It's a catastrophic failure and
huge.
And it like you're saying, it's not an elaborate plan. It all comes down to basics.
Yeah.
And it's just at least, let me ask you this. Why didn't they have a drone?
Well, I was going to mention
How much is a drone? $100?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I'm not a proponent of drones only because I want to keep the guys in the helicopters flying in law enforcement, right? So, but the drones do serve a purpose. And in this case, perfect scenario to do a sweep with drones, or even get a live helicopter there, because I can tell you this much. I've done many perp searches with the NYPD and helicopters. You may not see the guy, you may not know where the guy is, but you could pretend where the guy is, right? By putting your spotlight everywhere you can, we would call it the night sun, on your camera. But there's also a psychological element of the helicopter's sound. When you're low level and those blades are slapping and you hear that helicopter, if you're a perp, you think they know where you are.
True.
You do.
And you're not getting away.
And you're not getting away. So by them just doing a little sweep prior to bringing Trump out on that stage, local law enforcement probably had an aviation unit with a helicopter. Just do a sweep of the rooftops, a couple of orbits, and that will eliminate any threat at that moment. And then the shooter would second guess it, and they're going to know I'm up here. But they didn't have any type of aerial surveillance at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I just it's a basic thing that I feel like. But you know what? I don't fault the cop for falling down off the roof when the rifle was pointed at him. Like we were talking about accidental discharge, right? It's hard, if not impossible, to climb a roof or however he got up there, a drainage pipe, whatever, with your gun out.
Yeah.
So he's going up there with his gun in his holster. And if he gets up there and the guy's got the rifle on him, I don't know. I probably would not have shot.
Right.
It depending on how much time if he fell down off the roof, that cop is out of it. He's not going to be any help. So I don't blame him. I don't blame the sniper. I think the sniper did a great job. Once he confirmed the threat. And again, to me, it was like, is that what I think it is? Because we know we got cops there, but he wasn't in uniform. And he, a second earlier and he would have taken him out and he wouldn't have been able to shoot at Trump. It all comes down to find me the guy. And I don't really blame. I think the women and some of them embarrass themselves, but I don't believe it's their fault. It comes down to who was the guy that said, or girl that said, we don't need that roof covered. And I can guarantee you it's going to be this. It's going to be like, well, we were told by, so-and-so that it was covered. And the other ones are going to say, no, you told us that they were covered. From all the Secret Service interviews and articles that I've read, it still rests with Secret Service. Even though you could say but I don't know if that would work with ESU, but we're 40,000 strong. I don't know how many cops or how big that agency was, but they still need to at least be crystal clear that it's covered. But you know what? Is that person going to get fired? No. You heard the head of Secret Service, whatever her name is.
Yeah, she started blaming local law enforcement. She said that's not a failure on our part. It's a failure on local.
Oh, she said that?
Oh, yeah, that just came out this morning. Yeah, I was reading an article this morning, and they even had it on Fox News earlier, that she is pointing fingers at local law enforcement already. So that
but she can't do that though. By definition, she said that it stops with her. Everything is her responsibility. By the way, and then she says, "But I'm not going to resign," right? Because nobody gets fired or resigns in the Biden administration.
We sat down with Director Kim Cheadle today.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president.
So the buck stops with you?
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
The President and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
You plan to stay on? Absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
But even if they find the guy that said, we don't need to cover that roof, nothing's going to happen. Unless it's a cop.
Yeah. Well, let's just flip roles here for a second. Let's say Trump was the active president, sitting president, and Biden was out on a campaign, and this happened to Joe Biden. What would Trump do to the director of Secret Service if this happened?
Oh, he'd be fired in a second.
100%, right? 100%. 100%. He has egg on his face. This is a failure, and I'm going to fire you. And That's the philosophy of Trump. And that's why I love him. Because if you don't live up to what your job description is and you don't perform properly, you're gone. And that's it. And I just in life, that's the way it should be, And
it's not just a failure. Like, dude, I also heard that this guy was found, or they were looking for him 30 minutes before Trump went on stage. Right there. Why is Trump taking the stage? If you had someone in the crowd, they said they thought the scope was binoculars, right? A pair of binoculars or
it was a rangefinder. It was a rangefinder, right?
Why is Trump allowed to go on the stage? Who made that call? We're never going to find out, bro.
Whoever it is, I don't know how Secret Service decides, if it's a safe platform to bring him on stage or not, whether it's the lead guy. I'm sure there's a lead guy on that team, right? The PPD there, whoever it is. And even if the principal pushes, be it Trump, I want to go on stage, they're going to be like, it's not safe. You're not going on stage. That's
I heard that too.
Yeah.
I heard a couple of agents say, I don't care what he was going to say. I'm in control. We are lifting you off the stage. Yeah. One guy said his feet would not have been on the floor. We would have lifted him off the stage. And then of course they said, well, were they strong enough to lift him off the stage?
Trump's a big guy, man. He's a big guy, and he probably weighs pretty hefty amount for a couple of agents to lift him up. If they're going to carry him out, let's just say.
I'm glad that I'm so glad that he was able to raise that fist and tell us to fight. Of course, I said, I don't know if I said that to you, but I put it on Twitter. How long before they say that was inciting to riot? I got a couple of clips I'll play later where they actually complained. Like, I don't know if that's the right message. The guy just got his fucking head almost blown off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And got it was a headshot. It hit him in the ear, but it was a headshot. And you're going to complain to him that he gave you the wrong message? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's funny because 20 minutes ago or whatever, earlier in this segment, when I said how I felt, about, it's almost like 9/11, how I felt. When he raised his fist, I felt like when Bush was on the pile and he had that megaphone and he told them, those people are going to hear us now. That's the way I felt. It was a tremendous moment. I felt so proud.
I want you all to know, it can't go any louder. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
I was just going to say, bro, you feel proud to be an American, and that's a danger to the left. They don't want that.
Huge danger to the left. They don't like that. Right. Exactly.
They hate the country. They hate America. They hate anyone that is patriotic. And that's why, actually, let me play it now. Let me see if I could find it, where there's two clips where they're saying, I don't know if that's the right message. It's insane.
I want to just read a part of his statement from 8:42 tonight on Truth Social. He said, "Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening." He closes with "God bless America," and we saw him raise his hand in the air defiantly, blood on his face as he left the stage.
He is recovering from these injuries now. This was a traumatic event, no doubt, for him. But I did notice there was no call for lowering the temperature, condemning all political violence and really trying to signal to his supporters as well not to retaliate or to have any kind of escalation here. I just am looking at these statements.
There's a belief in his inner circle that he's under siege after being attacked at his rally.
I do want to say there was one thing that when I watched the tape, I found odd because of all of the heated rhetoric. And that is that after he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, fight, fight, fight. I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
I'll say it again. When he said fight, 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 he didn't mean go avenge this and go attack some leftist. He meant if I die, because he didn't know what state he was in at that point, continue to fight. Don't give up the fight. And the fight is not fighting. It's the fight for freedom in this country, to end the wokeness, to end all of the nonsense bullshit that the left has been throwing at us every day. You know?
Yeah, and you're going to hear this too, bro. And I don't know if it started yet. You heard those two statements. We need to condemn political violence on both sides. This is not a both sides issue. Kavanaugh, the one that went to shoot the Justice Kavanaugh, he was a lefty. The one that broke into Pelosi's house with a hammer, he was a lefty. He was on the left, a BLM supporter, an Antifa supporter. I can guarantee you they're saying now he's a registered Republican. I can guarantee
Well, here's the thing. I want to jump in and say this. They keep on saying he's a registered Republican. So they think in their minds on the left that absolves him from any responsibility. And he's not, he's not part of the leftist agenda. That means nothing. That means nothing.
What was he giving him? What was he giving Trump, a kiss? Like he still tried to blow the guy's head off.
Right.
And they're saying, but he's a Republican, so don't blame the Democrats.
Right.
All the rhetoric and all of the violence is coming from the left, bro. If this were Biden, how many cities would be burned right now?
Let's go to the summer of love. Remember the summer of love, 2020? How much damage?
Unbelievable.
Right? How much damage? Yep. Were those people wearing Trump shirts and waving American flags, chanting USA when they were burning down buildings? No, they were yelling death to police. They were yelling pigs in the blanket. Let's fry them, right? Like pigs in a blanket.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, on the bridge.
Yeah, remember that on the bridge.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
And then they were tossing Molotov cocktails into radio cars, and they burnt down police stations. These people aren't. They have no civility, Oh,
I could hear people saying right now, yeah, but January 6th. Listen, I don't know who was infiltrated. I don't know who was on the feds. I don't know. But I could tell you this: Trump, me, you, all Trump supporters, all conservatives, we're not for violence.
No.
When I see those people doing what they did in January, I swear they're not Trump supporters. I don't know how they infiltrated or what they did. I just can't see it. And when whoever it is on the left or the right, when I saw some of the things they were doing to Capitol Police, you assault a cop, I'm never going to change or waiver. You should go to jail. 100%. But what they also did was they put grandmothers in jail for walking around the Capitol taking selfies.
Yeah.
They put people in jail that were standing outside that didn't even go in. People lost their jobs. Yeah. Nurses, there's that DEA agent, he was standing next to a statue, and they pull out some law that says standing climbing near a statue is this violation, and the guy lost his job. But you say nothing when BLM and Antifa tear down all of the statues.
Got on a flight back to LA. I had my badge and gun taken away from me. I was escorted off the premises to my apartment like a criminal, and I was fired after being suspended for 2 months for performance issues.
Mark wasn't just fired, he was arrested. And what do you think they charged him with? Remember, he's a Trump supporter, so the rules are different.
Joe Biden's Justice Department doubled down. This week, the feds charged him with a number of felonies, including being too close to a federal monument. That would be Section 5104 of the U.S. Code, the law that makes it a crime to, quote, step on or climb on any statue, seat, wall, fountain, or other architectural feature, or any tree, shrub, plant, or turf in the Capitol grounds, end quote. Mark Ibrahim now faces 15 years in federal prison.
15 years. Is that not insane? When you're protesting against police and President Trump, this is okay.
Take a look at some of this video that we have here. Protesters first threw paint on the statues, then brought out the tools. They started chipping away at the Confederate monument, taking off the heads and setting some of the statues on fire.
But when you're a cop who also supports President Trump, this gets you 15 years standing next to a statue. They're telling everyone to condemn the violence and tone it down on both sides. We know that it's only coming from the left, you know, and you're going to hear more of it.
You have politicians like Maxine Waters that says, get in their face, right? Get in their face.
Not just that, bro. Not just that. I'm going to play a clip where she said, I will go take out Trump.
That's right.
Did you see that one?
Yeah. I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And then Nancy Pelosi saying, I want to punch him in the face. I want to punch him in the face. Remember that?
Oh, he comes, I'm going to punch him out. This is my moment. I would pay to see that. I've been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
They talk about the rhetoric. I want to play you Scarborough, Joe Scarborough, Morning Joe.
My favorite guy.
2 clips. Let me see if I can pull this up. Watch this.
Dark days are ahead if MSNBC's Joe Scarborough is to be believed. The Morning Joe host claimed that Donald Trump would imprison or execute his political opposition if he won re-election.
He will do, he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country.
Is that not insane, bro? Here's another clip of the same idiot. This is
and look what he's got next to them there. I mean,
I know,
Al Sharpton,
I know,
the biggest race peddler ever. I mean, come on.
That's why he's got his own show on MSNBC. Yeah. Here's part 2.
Maybe he didn't read Mein Kampf, but he kept a collection of Hitler's speeches by his bed, according to his first wife, in a Vanity Fair article. And
you hear it?
You can hear it in his words. You can see it at his rallies. That's exactly the direction he's going. He's going doubling, tripling down on fascist Hitler-like rhetoric.
Oh my God! You know what a fucking clown. You know it infuriates me when I see these guys do this shit. You know, and then she just stands there. Oh yeah.
I know.
You know?
I know, but that's what I mean, bro. It's when you have that mentality, when you think that you're dealing with Hitler, you have an obligation to take him out.
Yeah,
that's right. Especially someone who's a little touched in the head.
Yeah,
it's not just like they're going to be a hero, but listen, I'm doing my duty. You know, it's like the nuts. Who was the guy that set himself on fire outside the Trump courthouse?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right, like he's a loon. They're just nuts.
Yeah.
But when you hear this over and over and over, and there's a montage going around, you got Johnny Depp asking when was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor.
You have Trump in the play where they all stab Trump.
It's William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar like you've never seen before. A man dressed to look like President Donald Trump gets stabbed to death on stage.
You have Madonna saying, yes, I've thought about blowing up the White House.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Who's
Kathy
the other
Griffin?
idiot? With the head?
Griffin? Yeah.
With that? I mean, come on. Her career went nowhere after that, thankfully.
Good.
But this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, I try to be consistent. When there's a shooting, let's say, God forbid, a school shooting, I consistently say, because they come out, they blame the NRA, they blame gun manufacturers, They blame the Republicans. And I have always said it's the shooter's responsibility.
Yeah.
If you blaming guns for violence and shootings is like blaming, saying that scalpels perform abortions,
right,
or knives, forks, and spoons cause obesity. The twisting of the narrative is amazing because what's the name? The idiot on The View. Sunny Holston? Sunny. Well, she probably said it too. She's already blaming it on guns, and I think that's such a stupid art. You saw that, right?
Yeah, you knew that we were going to do that. You knew that because any time that the left can capitalize on something, a crisis or an event, they will do that. So why not do it with this one?
So I know everybody always says it's too soon to talk about guns, and that we should, because there has been a terrible death of a father of two, that we should, thoughts and prayers should be where we go. Mm-hmm. I say no. I say now is the time to talk about the common denominator when it came to this assassination attempt is America's fascination and obsession with owning guns.
You could take a fully operational gun, leave it on the ground for 1,000 years, and nobody picks it up, nobody pulls the trigger. Nothing's going to happen. So can't blame the fucking gun. Stop that.
No, they think like it accidentally goes off, like it'll shoot itself.
And what do you think? If you stop manufacturing firearms that you're never going to have any more, you know how many guns there are in this country? There's, I don't even know the number. 100 million.
I heard 400 million.
Okay, so 400 million. How many homicides are there a day due to gunfire in the United States? I don't know.
But dude, if you cared about guns, see, now we're all over the place. If they cared about guns, put the perps in jail who use them.
Lightfoot banned the police from chasing criminals, even in the case of some very serious offenses. Her DA refuses to prosecute many crimes. The results? Nearly 200 more people have been murdered this year than last. Many more dead people, hundreds.
Who's to blame? The mayor of Chicago, the Cook County prosecutor especially. The Cook County prosecutor, Kim Foxx, has released 25,000 felony cases, including murder cases. There was an analysis by the Sun-Times also that showed in the last 6 years, over 1,000 shootings, almost 150 people who died from those shootings, 2 convictions out of over 1,000 people.
So the best was when they put up signs. No guns allowed. Yeah, Show me the school shooter who's going to see that sign and say, oh, I guess I can't do it today.
It's another gaslighting tactic that the left and the freaking Democrats use to give people a false sense of security. You know, it's freaking stupid. Blows my mind.
You're going to hear more of it, bro. You're going to hear that. Here's another thing I think you're going to hear. I think you're going to hear as we go, a couple of weeks in from now, they're going to say, well, Trump did take a headshot, and maybe because he's not acting right.
Yeah.
He's forgetting his words.
That's the next thing. Yep.
He's not really, he's not himself. And can he really lead? Then that'll be the next thing.
But as much as this, this attempted assassination on Trump hurt the Democrats, it helped Biden because they're not calling for his removal right now.
Yeah. I think that helps us, though.
Oh, 100%. I believe there's going to be an element of people who look at this and go, enough. Maybe that, somebody who's kind of like in between and like, I'm not really a Republican, I'm not really a Democrat. Let's call him an independent, whatever. But they're going to see this and they're going to get angry. And they're going to be like, no, you know what? This is it. I've had it. And then there's going to be a sympathy vote too. Whatever. The guy almost lost his life. But
this is what he Trump. Don't talk.
Yeah.
just don't say anything, bro. Please, just be quiet. But I think he has toned it down a little bit.
Yeah, he's been humbled. I mean, even before this, I think.
And that's what I was going to say. Before this, he wasn't really he's a bomb thrower, right? So he likes throwing stuff out there.
But not like 2016 bomb throwing.
No,
now
he's gotten so much better. That's my point. Yeah. Even before this,
and I heard you didn't know what to get back then.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, bro. It's not like Trump didn't run the country. He has a record. Joe Biden's got a record, even though Joe's not doing it. Somebody is doing it, and you have a record under the Trump administration and the Biden administration. And we were much better off under Trump. Just inflation alone, the border alone. That's another thing. That the left is confused and can't get straight. Everyone's got to get vaccinated, except the people coming across the border.
No, of course not. Why would they have to?
They don't. No, only Americans do.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Biden for a second. If he drops out, I have a prediction that I know is going to come true. If he drops out, Michelle or Kamala, they cannot replace a person of color as the VP with a white guy or a white girl.
No,
can't do it.
No,
can't do it. It has to be her.
And there's talks that Michelle won't want it. She doesn't want it. You want to be thrust back into that whole freaking nightmare of politics. They got enough money. They're going to walk into the sunset. They got Netflix deals. Why would you want to come back to this nonsense?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
Power
I
means
agree
everything to everybody, but is that the power you want?
Bongino swears there's no way she wants it. He told a story one time where she got dressed up, basically wore a disguise and just went with the Secret Service agents just to a Walmart, just to escape the White House, to feel somewhat normal. She hates politics. She's definitely not going to do it.
Okay, now speaking of Michelle Obama, any thoughts on whether there could be a switcheroo come convention, whether it's at the top of the ticket and the second position that they're going with this horse?
100%. Listen, I took so much flack for this. I was in that White House for a long time. I was not on the First Lady's detail. I was on the President's detail, and I was in the transportation section where we did the motorcade security and logistics and stuff. That's a separate satellite. However, they're together, and we're together a lot, Barack and Michelle. She was around, and obviously we're at the White House. She's around all the time. And the FLD guys, First Lady's detail guys, I'm very good. I'm still very close with a lot of them who were on that detail. She is 100% not running. I'm telling you, she's not running. Every time I say this, someone comes back like there's some grand plan. You don't understand. This woman is extremely private. She hates politics. She always hated politics. All she talks about is hating politics. She hated the White House. She hated being around the White House. She hated congressmen, senators. They hated it. She wants nothing to do with this. There is zero chance she's running. I've said this for 3 years. People always beat me up. She is not running. There is no chance. She hated politics so much. I remember one story. It's already happened, so it's not like any kind of security thing, but one of the guys I know in the detail was a good friend. And I remember saying, where were you last night? I didn't see you guys or something. And he's like, man, we had to take the First Lady out. And I was like, out where? It's like, she hates the White House so much. They apparently dressed her up with a baseball hat and glasses and a scarf. It's a true story. And she wanted to go to Walmart or Target or something. And nobody recognized her, not a single person. They took her out in one of our undercover cars. The guys dressed down and everything like that. And she just wanted to go out and be normal. That story happened. I'm telling you it happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's how much she hated this place. There is zero chance she would run. And even if they forced her into it, it would be one of those LBJ moments. If nominated, I will not accept. There is no way she is running for president. Zero chance.
I would say by default, it has to be Kamala. And her poll numbers are just as bad. She's an idiot. I don't know if Joe's stupid. Joe is corrupt and he's a liar. I don't know if now he's too old, but I don't know if he lacked intelligence. He's a slimy, disgusting, corrupt politician who lies, steals, and cheats. I'll give that those adjectives about him, that description. Yeah. But I don't know if he's dumb. Kamala's like freaking AOC. They're really freaking stupid.
Yeah. And it looks like she's hitting the sauce a lot too. Because sometimes when they interview her, I'm like, it blows my mind. Yeah. She can't put together a normal paragraph,
I know.
Doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
And she's young, bro. You can't blame that on age. She's young.
Yeah.
So Trump, I heard he rewrote his speech for his when does he go on? Thursday night?
Thursday night, yeah. They closed the convention with his speech, yeah.
In a way, I don't want to, and I know that this is wrong, but I don't want to hear the guy that got shot in the head that we need to come together and have and disavow all political violence. I don't want him to say, look what they took with the peacefully and patriotically statement. And they said, oh, he's inciting to riot. And not only did they try to impeach him for that, but now he's, by the way, the classified documents case is gone, but Jack Smith still has the January 6th case. So anything he says, they'll take out of context and say, oh, look, he meant, when he said fight, that meant burn buildings down. But in a way, I'm just so angry that they did this, and that are they going to force Trump? I heard a few people on Twitter saying, President Trump, don't let them fool you. Don't let them, guide you into a message where you're going to get soft now. I've never been shot in the head. So if he has a different perspective on life, God bless him. And it would only help him. But if this guy doesn't get angry now, he is nowhere near the monster they claimed him to be.
Yeah.
Trump is a good guy. He is. He's a good guy, bro. And unfortunately, I worked in Manhattan my whole career. I never ran into him. I wish that I had.
Yeah, I did not.
When they examine a New York City billionaire, they go back, I don't know how many years, 40, 50 years, as however far back they can go. And all you have is a bookkeeping entry. You just proved that Trump is an honest, squeaky clean guy.
Yep.
And they hate that. And they hate that.
And even the mobsters, I watch a lot of this stuff. Like they interview
Michael Francese. You ever see him?
Michael Francese and what's the other guy's name that worked for Gotti? The freaking killed everybody.
Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull. I just saw something recently with him, but they said we couldn't get to this guy. He did not want to bite, and the construction industry in New York was
City
ran by the mob.
Right,
that was ran by the mob. And he was unpenetrable. So Trump didn't want any riffraff. He wasn't, and he got Michael Cohen, that rat-faced. I can't stand that guy.
I hate him, bro. He's a slimy.
I can't stand that guy. He's a slime. He's a rat. And he's out there he was pissed because Trump didn't make him chief of staff.
I thought it was attorney general.
And his attorney general, whatever it was.
That would have been a joke.
Whatever it was. I think he thought he was going to have some sort of bona fide position in Trump's cabinet, and Trump's like, "You're just a fucking attorney, bro." That's it.
Yeah. And he was angry, bro. He said it. I want him to feel what I feel. I want him to know what it's like to go to jail.
He stole money from him. He admitted that on the stand.
And
he stole money from him.
You finally got your felon, right?
Yeah.
But they won't. I think that's the statute of limitations is beyond that. Has already passed.
Yeah.
But they resurrected the case, the law for it. That's another thing they did for Trump. They impeached him. They tried to bankrupt him. They're trying to put him in jail. They took all his money. He can't do business in New York State. This is insane. They gave money to a girl who claimed that she was sexually assaulted 30 years ago. She couldn't even tell you what year. And they're doing all the
bona fide EDP.
Oh, dude, did you see her videos?
Yes.
She where she's living, the stuff that she says, she's a loon, bro. She's a nut.
She's a loon.
I call it the mouse house because some very distinguished mice live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Tversky lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the lists of my dogs. Marky, Fortuna di la Spunky, Heidi, Tits, Bloody, and Hepburn. The streams and the rivers were dry, and it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
Look at the interview she gave to Anderson Cooper. And he
Yeah,
was just
rape
like
is
blown
sexy.
away. Like, what?
Yeah, you're kind of sexy.
Rape is sexy or something. Like, what?
Yeah.
Most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
Yeah, that's why they ran it through civil court, because you and I both know it's preponderance of evidence, right? So let's just get enough here to get the.
No, but my point is, she wasn't suing for $83 million. She was suing for a lot less, and they're like, we'll give you a whole bunch more. Like, New York really turned on Trump. It's heartbreaking, bro.
It is heartbreaking.
Because I mean, when he was running The Apprentice, I never watched The Apprentice, but I would see clips here and there.
Huge fan. I watched it all the time.
It was good.
Yeah, it's great. I love that.
I never saw it.
Love that show. Especially the
but he was a
celebrity event.
celebrity.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He was a celebrity, bro. He was loved by all. And all these politicians that claimed to hate him, they had no problem coming to him for money. Even Al Sharpton, all the Jesse Jackson. They were all like, Trump. But now, once he decided.
You know who never turned their back on him? Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson loves Trump. I love
Mike Tyson.
Yep. Mike Tyson loves Trump, man. Yep.
Yeah. Mike Tyson, he still says that this is a guy that it's admitted openly multiple times to robbing people, to burglarizing their homes.
Mm-hmm.
He swears he never raped that girl.
I know. I believe him.
Yes, he says it was consensual.
When you get that much power and you have that much money and you're in the spotlight, you gotta capitalize on that opportunity, right? Whoever you are, if you're gonna accuse somebody, that's
he did 3 years, man.
That's the sin of becoming famous. Yeah,
it is. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they're Trump shouldn't have said what he said on the Access Hollywood tape or whatever the tape was. Come on. If you tap the phone of any of these other politicians or billionaires, can you imagine the smut that you're going to hear? It's like, give me a break, man. Give me a break.
Because there's humanity there. They're men. That's it.
Yeah, I know.
Just because they have some status doesn't mean they can't talk like that amongst people. I mean, let's call it locker room
Dude, listen
talk.
to the way cops talk, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Come on.
I mean, come on.
If people heard that, they'd be like, what?
If people heard some of this stuff that we used to say in the locker room, in the radio car, whatever, at a job, they would be like, it would blow their mind. Cop humor is totally different.
And I would say that's with anyone, firemen, carpenters, like any group of guys together, they talk like, maybe not what he said, but I'm not shocked. But I heard Dan Bongino said, don't be surprised if Hillary Clinton takes Biden's place. I don't see that happening.
Well, if she wants to lose again, she's not liked. She's not liked. She's just not liked. She's not a likable person. She when she speaks, she has evil in her voice. She's not likable. She's just not a likable person.
Yeah, and that's the thing, bro. I didn't hate Biden. I hated Obama. I hated Clinton. I could see why people who don't like the country hate Trump because he's a threat. Mm-hmm. So I could see that, even though I love Trump.
Yeah.
I never hated Biden until he got into office.
Yeah.
I thought, how much harm can he do?
Yeah.
When he thought he was going to run. He is the worst.
Obama brought back policing 20 or 30 years in the country. We were at a good area. When he became president, when Bush left office, and that was after 9/11, policing was fairly easy. You know that, and I know that. When Obama became president, policing changed. Being a cop changed. And then when that one incident in Connecticut, where he accused the cops of being a racist or whatever, that was the cannon that started this shit.
Was this the beer summit?
Yeah, the beer summit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That shit was the one that he kicked that off, and he brought back police and community relations 30 or 40 years backwards. But
that's what they wanted, bro.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. Yeah. Yep.
That's what they want. And you know what? Who's suffering? Who's suffering?
Community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The people that suffer are the ones that need the police. I remember going to community board meetings, bro. They would be livid. They'd be screaming so much. Where are the cops? Where are the cops? Politicians used to run on putting more cops out there.
I got hired on the Safe Streets, Safe City under Mayor Dinkins. Remember that whole?
Right, yeah.
He hired like 20,000 cops in a span of like 6 years or something like that.
Well, you hired 3,000 cops. Yeah, well, I hired 4. Well, I put more cops on the street, even though now it's like, I think New York City went south with de Blasio.
Oh yeah,
I know that.
But I can say this: I don't think de Blasio is as bad as Adams is. I think de Blasio let his police commissioner run the police department. We're getting back into the police department again, but Adams is a micromanager. Adams didn't want to be mayor; he wanted to be police commissioner. That's what he wanted.
Did he?
Yeah, of course he did. He wanted to avenge this whole.
They're both idiots, bro.
Yeah,
I hate them both. They're both destroying New York City.
Yep.
It's so sad.
Yep,
it's so sad. I was looking at stuff on Facebook, like old New York City 80s and 90s, and I'm like, wow, it used to be safe then. It was a clean city, but it's not just them, bro. Because they look at Lori Lightfoot from Chicago.
Yeah,
where
that's
you
where
are
I'm at right now. I'm in that.
You got Brandon Johnson.
Yep.
Right behind her.
Yep.
So I see Cori Bush is losing in the polls by like 28 points. She's getting primaried.
Yeah.
I don't know who the person that's running against her is. Is that person going to be worse?
Yeah.
Like Brandon Johnson,
Yep.
Took over for Lori Lightfoot.
Yep.
So but it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not the person. It's the policies.
Right.
They never learn.
Yep.
A lot of this. Excuse me. A lot of this. All the people that have the PhDs and they want you to call them doctor. They study statistics and criminal justice and sociology. Great. I'm a proponent of advanced education. I think it's great that you know all this stuff, but really it comes down to really basic stuff.
Yeah.
Keep the criminals in jail.
Yep.
Put more cops out there, pay them the overtime, let them do their job. It's just like with the Trump shooting. Bring it right back to that. Cover the roof.
Yeah.
Forget about all the technology.
Right.
All the stuff that can detect it. Like, there's a guy walking around who looks suspicious for 30 minutes. You don't put Trump on the stage.
Right.
You do not put Trump in that vulnerable position.
That's right.
Put a guy in the roof, a drone at least, if you can't have a helicopter or whatever. It always comes down to a very simple solution. And if this is the solution, the Democrats and the liberals, they go this way.
Yeah.
They just like, it stares them.
Yeah.
I read an article once actually, I didn't read it. Krauthammer on Fox News was talking about how stupid the New York Times was because they said, why are there so many people in jail during the safest time of our city? Not realizing, of course, the reason why it's the safest time in the city
because they're in jail.
Exactly, it's so stupid,
yeah.
Dude. Let me show you some of the news articles. That speaking of the New York Times, that's what made me think about it. Let me show you some of the news articles of how they reported this. This is gonna. I'm sure you saw some of them, right?
Yeah, and I know it's going to infuriate me already, but yeah.
Okay. Can you let me know when you can see this? MSNBC. Yeah. Trump rushed off stage at Pennsylvania rally by Secret Service after loud popping noises heard.
I would almost think that's a parody. If you
that's
didn't,
what I thought. I said that's not real.
Yeah. Can you believe? Because when they put stuff like this out, they're targeting the older liberal generation. That may not have access to go deep and find out what the real truth is. They read the headline, they get gaslighted right at the moment, and that's what they believe. Because that's even growing up as a young kid, you'd watch the news and you thought the news was. That was it. That was the holy grail.
Yeah. Well, you didn't even know that Peter Jennings, you didn't know if he was liberal or conservative. Like They just reported the news.
Yep.
Let me get you another one. Hold on. New York Times. Trump hurt, but safe after our shooting.
Oh my God.
After a shooting.
It's
nothing about Trump is the victim of the shooting and almost got his head blown off.
It's unbelievable the road that they lead people down. It's like, well, it's kind of the truth, but I think we're kind of, telling you, like when you were a kid, like, did you cut out of school today? Well, I only cut the first class and the last class. I
went in late,
but I went into homeroom to check it. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like it's, and that's how they absolve themselves from like saying we're fake news.
I know. Hold on, I'm going to get another one for you. Trump injured. Trump injured in rally shooting.
It's laughable. It's freaking laughable.
You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh.
It's almost like the Babylon Bee, like
Yeah. I'm like, this is satire. This has to be sad. There's a few more that I'll try to find and put up in post. I don't have them ready to go here.
You'd think you'd be watching like SNL or something. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I know.
It's really.
I know. So I think that's about, I would say 10 years ago, I think O'Reilly was talking to, maybe it was a little bit more than that. He was talking to Glenn Beck, and they were talking about bias in the media towards favoring Obama. And O'Reilly said, it's not just bias anymore, it's corruption. And I remember hearing that saying, I don't know if it's corrupt. Dude, they're beyond corrupt now.
I know.
They are so unbelievably corrupt.
Yeah, but have you ever seen, and I've seen it a couple of times, and I wish we had it on here, but there's like a thing on YouTube, and they'll show like all these different news outlets, and they'll start with the first one, and they could be from peppered all over the country, but they have the same exact lines, the same exact talking points, and it's like to the verbatim.
There's so much speculation out there, and there is zero evidence that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden did anything wrong here.
We should note, again, and you and I have said this in the air many times, there is no evidence that Joe Biden was, involved in any wrongdoing.
Of course, I want to note that there is no evidence that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
I just want to reiterate.
And let's be clear for the viewers.
There is no evidence Biden did anything wrong.
I'll note again, because it's important.
There is I repeat, no.
There is no evidence that either Biden did anything illegal.
There's been no evidence. There was no evidence.
There's no evidence. There is no evidence.
There is not an iota of evidence.
No evidence Biden did anything wrong.
There's really
no evidence that Joe Biden
did anything wrong.
There's no
evidence whatsoever that Joe
Biden did
anything
wrong. Got that?
Joe Biden did nothing wrong.
It's crazy.
They get it from the Democrats. I used to, Rush Limbaugh, just about a year before he died, he said that he had it all wrong. He said, I originally thought that the Democrats led the way and the media would pick up the pieces and follow them and provide cover. But the Democrats were leading and the media backed them up. He said, now I realize it's the opposite. The media is dictating what should happen, and the Democrats get in line. And I think that's probably what's torn this country apart more than anything, the corrupt media, because they are corrupt and they're doing tremendous harm. I mean, there's more. I'll put in I'll put in post pictures of Trump on the magazine covers looking like Hitler. It's okay to refer to him as Hitler. There's another one that says, because Trump survived the shooting, he is now a bigger threat to democracy.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable, bro. It's unbelievable.
That's just insane.
You ignore the president who's putting his political opponents in jail, and you say that Trump is the one that's a threat to democracy, right? You got Steve Bannon in jail right now for contempt of Congress.
Yeah. Peter Navarro went to jail.
Meanwhile, Hunter Biden, nothing. Merrick Garland right now is in contempt of Congress. Nothing. Bottom line is they took his business. They're trying to take his freedom, and now they tried to take his life. Is Trump going to win?
I think in a real fair election, he is going to blow it out of the water. However, there's going to be some nefarious things. There's going to be some shenanigans. And if you discount those, if there's enough delta to overcome that, he will win handedly. He will. So yes, my prediction.
Right, he has to win by such a far margin to compensate for the games that they're going to play.
Paul, I'm going to tell you this, and I've said this to a million people. You don't put 500 people in a room and they're split right down the middle for chocolate and vanilla. It's not 49.9 to 50, to 50.1. Okay. Right. Look, how does an election fall within 1,000 votes over 1 million people or 10 million people? It doesn't. It's improbable. It's improbable. You look at the election for DeSantis in Florida in 2022, right when he won. I think there was like a 13% split. That's that's representative of what I think an election should look like. I'm sorry. This whole 0.1 and 0.2 nonsense, or 0.3 or 0.4, it's not probable. It's not. It just doesn't make any sense to me that people could be perfectly split down the middle like that. It's improbable.
Dude, that was probably the second or third video. I started, look at this now. I need a water. Nobody can hear me. I started my channel in September of 20. So right after the election was taken, I put out, that was like my third video. I got flagged. I got a strike. They removed the video. I had to upload it again. And if you get 2 strikes, is it 2 or 3? I think if you get 1 strike, you're banned for a week. 2 strike, I think it's 2 weeks. If you get 3 strikes, they delete your channel.
Wow.
And all I was doing was proving, like, remember the vertical line on the graph? How the graph was like, we went to sleep and then all of a sudden they found, dude, I'm going to make it into a short or a mini thing. Hopefully that they've gotten a little bit more relaxed with their rules. But everyone said that those ballots came in, and the reason why Biden overtook Trump was because historically Democrats tend to vote with mail-in voting. And because of that, that's what pushed them up. But what I zeroed in on the ballot count, there were more people that were registered Republican from the mail-in ballots. Okay, so this is Michigan. Trump has this press conference right around here. Look at the gap he's opened up against Biden, right? We go to sleep, we wake up, and we find out that Trump and Biden are now tied. When you plot these votes on a graph, look at the vertical line for Biden. Look at this. No votes for Trump, all Biden. And of course, this happened while we were sleeping. This is a little after 6 a.m. Come on, man. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. And the Democrats are going to tell you, well, that's all of the absentee ballots and all of the mail-in ballots. They all lean Democrat, so that's why Biden got this bump. I'm going to show you how that's not true. So here is the breakdown of the mail-in ballots for the state of Michigan. You can see 3.4 million were requested. A little over 3.1 million were returned. But 42% of those ballots went to the GOP. The Democrats only got 38%. So how can you justify that bump for Biden on mail-in ballots when most of those mail-in ballots would have gone for Trump? Okay, so this is Wisconsin. You can see Trump has his press conference right around here. He's pulling away from Biden. And the same thing happens. We wake up at 6 a.m. We find out now that Biden's actually in the lead. When we plot these on a graph, we see all of these votes coming in for Biden. Another vertical line. This is impossible. They expect us to believe this, though, like we're stupid. They're going to blame it again, just like they did in Michigan, on the absentee ballots. They're going to tell you, well, all of those ballots were leaning Democrat, and that's why Biden got this bump. I'm going to show you how that's not true. Okay, so this is the breakdown of mail-in ballots for Wisconsin. You can see they asked for 2 million ballots. They got back a little under 1.9 million. But again, look at the breakdown. 43% of those ballots went to the GOP. They registered Republican. So of the 1,889,000 ballots, 43% were registered Republicans and only 35% were registered for Democrats. This is coming from NBC News, by the way. Look at this. Hardly a friend of Trump, right? So when they're blaming Wisconsin, that bump for Biden on mail-in ballots, it's just a lie. It's just a lie because most of those mail-in ballots went for Trump. I don't think they're going to cheat this time, bro. I think that I almost think like if I'm a Democrat, I think, listen, let's just let the guy fucking
You
win.
want to think that, but they're like, fuck it. We got nothing to lose. We got to do it again.
Nobody, listen to me, nobody anywhere will ever believe that Biden beats Trump in a fair election. If Biden somehow wins, it would be amazing. It would be I can't even.
Well, think about. I mean, we're going down another road here, but think about.
Nobody would believe it, bro. Nobody would believe it. Is my point.
Think about how many votes he won by. Let's just call it that, right? So there was 5 states, and I think it was 200,000 votes. That decided the election.
Yeah,
200,000 votes. Think about that, and in a country of 350 million people, or maybe the voters was probably like 190 million or something like that. But 200,000 votes decides the whole presidency, because
even less if you think about it, because
Georgia was 10,000. Georgia was 10,000 votes.
Yeah,
Come on.
right, exactly.
Come on.
And when he said because they didn't finish the tally, so he said, "Listen, just find me 11,000," meaning 11,000 puts me over the
right.
He didn't say make them up.
Right.
He didn't say create them.
Right.
If I lose my car keys and I say, "Babe, can you find my car keys?" I don't mean go to the dealer and make up a new car key.
Right.
I mean,
find out where they are.
Right. Yeah, I don't need you to find 100,000.
Right.
I need you to find 11,000. That case is a sham. The Alvin Bragg is a joke. The other documents with Jack Smith was thrown out, and then we still got January 6th. But even with Alvin Bragg, bro, once the immunity case came down, that he was immune, I know that what he did by paying off Michael Cohen is outside the realm of his official duties. But they interviewed people in his administration that the Trump lawyers are now saying, if he's immune, all that stuff is privileged. You can't put on Hope Hicks and talk about what we discussed in the White House. You can't put on, all these. So, but again, all it proves is that he's squeaky clean. This guy has there's nothing in his background. Yep. And I find that almost impossible to believe that a New York City billionaire, a real estate developer, too, a casino owner, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No mob ties,
right?
Nothing. It's just,
yeah.
But anyway, I'm thrilled that, I'm thrilled that he's still with us. I was very emotional. I can't wait to see. He's talking Thursday Thursday's the last day, right?
Thursday is the closing of the convention, and he
won't speak until then.
Yeah, he'll make his acceptance speech will be the last speech of the whole convention. What
do you think of JD Vance?
He's a young guy, right? And I think the Republican Party needs young people. I think they need young people. Look at Mitch McConnell. I mean, come on. I mean, this is where we are.
Biden. He's another Biden.
Yeah. Like we need a young party. We need young faces. We need somebody who's going to carry on Trump's policies. Who's going to have the courage to do it too? Because if you're an entrenched politician and you're there a long time, you might say that you're going to do something, but you're going to just fall in line with everybody else. I think JD Vance will have the courage to do that.
Well, when it comes to that particular issue, to give everyone the finger and do what he thinks is right, I really like DeSantis. As far as governors, I like him better than who's the North Dakota guy?
Burgum?
Yeah. If he was going to pick a governor, Kristi Noem's out because of what she wrote in that book.
Yeah, that whole
that she killed a dog. That was incredibly stupid.
Yep.
If he was going to go the governor route, DeSantis got a pair of balls. His campaign was a joke.
Yeah.
He didn't really do well in the debates. But if you just look at how he governed, if he teamed up with Trump, it would be unstoppable. Oh, I also like Tulsi Gabbard. But the problem with Tulsi Gabbard is being a Democrat, a former Democrat, she's going to have to go back on why she felt a certain way.
Yeah.
Just like JD Vance, bro. He badmouthed Trump a lot.
He did.
A lot. And
he called him a Nazi too.
Did he? A Nazi?
I think so. So. Back in 2015.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It's but I think they're going to win, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed. I hope Trump doesn't talk much.
I think he's doing a good job.
He might come out with a unity speech, which kind of like not that it upsets me, but
I thought about this last night, and it was just a thought that I had. He always ends his rallies with, "We're going to make America safe again. We're going to make America wealthy again. We're going to make America
great again.
Again.
Energy independent."
Yeah, energy independent. Let's add one more line. Let's make America united again.
I like it.
Right? I thought about this last night, and I'm like, wouldn't that go over well? I think that would, just inject that in there. Because, you may say, and I don't like, I get angry. I get furiously angry at people on the left for what they do and how they've what they've done to this country. And I'll go back to 9/11, and you remember this as a cop too. I remember as a cop on 9/11, working like 14-hour tours, right, or 16-hour tours.
Yeah,
I remember one time, like I think it was in Chinatown or something. I was just getting some food or something. It was the end of my tour.
By me in the 7th?
Yeah, I was over there because they would post us down there.
Well, everything was Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, I was posted over there. So I remember just like leaning my head against the radio car. My partner might have went out to get something, and there was a tap on the window. Tap, 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 tap. And it's like, I'm like, oh, it's a liberal. You could just tell, right? Like,
you can tell, yeah.
You can just tell. You're like, oh, what do we got here? So I'm like, I roll down the window, and she's like, oh, officer, I just want to thank you for being here and keeping us safe. And I was like, you're welcome. And I roll the window back up. And I told my partner about it when I got back in. I go, 2 weeks ago, she would have freaking hated our guts. I go, but now because she's scared, she's doing this.
Oh, great point.
And it's
now
true.
They need you.
Now they need you because she's scared. I said, and that's a valid statement because how many times have you encountered liberals on the street when you're locking somebody up or something like that, and they're all over you, and I was on the street before the cell phone cameras, thank God.
Thank God for me,
yeah,
bro.
and I went to aviation, and I didn't get to deal with that whole cell phone era. But you were able to handle things differently. But I wouldn't have been able to deal with that now. It's just
no, dude. I have no problem admitting. I'll admit this to the world. I couldn't be a cop today.
No, me either.
And it's not because I was rogue or I have a temper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a single complaint against me.
Right.
And I wasn't a collar monster.
Yeah.
But I have probably over 100 arrests.
Yeah. Yep.
In the 3 or 4 years I had before I made sergeant.
Yep.
And then it's SNU and narcotics, and when I was SOL, all that other, it was probably over 1,000.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints. But the thing is, when you're under a microscope and every single thing is videotaped, and you got some asshole at CCRB that's going to go frame by frame and take 2 weeks to analyze it, or like the idiots on The View or other people in the media that will say the most outrageous things like, why did you shoot him in the leg? That's got to be the dumbest. That is my favorite, dumbest thing I've ever heard.
The idea that instead of standing there and teaching a cop when there's an unarmed person coming at him with a knife or something to shoot him in the leg instead of in the heart is a very different thing. There's a lot of different things that can change.
It's unbelievable that the scrutiny and the microscope that the cops have to survive under today, and I couldn't do it.
Yep,
I couldn't do it. So, but I'm glad. Retirement's hard to get used to, but I'm glad now we could say anything we want, bro. Yeah. We're off the job.
But and going back to that whole about the liberal coming up to the window and all that stuff like that, most liberals are cowards. They are.
Yeah,
they're cowards. They hide behind words. They just want to hurt you. They want to say, bad things. Whereas if you look at people at like the Trump rally, when those shots went off, everybody stayed in place.
Isn't that
Nobody
amazing?
Nobody ran off. Nobody.
I couldn't believe it.
Right?
It was crazy.
Look at these concerts when
they knew.
Yeah,
they knew that he was shot. It wasn't like, well, maybe they thought it was fireworks. They were standing right behind him. They saw blood. They saw Secret Service.
Yeah,
and they just stood there. I heard a witness saying that they stood up to protect him.
Yeah, because those
they stood
are
up
patriots.
to shield him also.
Those are patriots, and they care about our country and they care about Trump because Trump is going to lead us down the right path. And that's a perfect analogy. If this would have happened at like a Biden rally when there was maybe 50 people there, everybody would have scattered like cowards. And it goes back to that bump on the radio car door when the woman said to me, oh, thank you for being here and protecting us. Whereas 2 weeks prior, when the World Trade Center was still standing, it would have been like, tick, tick, tick. Why are you sleeping, officer?
Yeah, or your car's polluting the environment.
Right, exactly.
Why do you have to need? Why do you need the engine running?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I used to get that in Central Park.
It's a perfect comparison there.
Yeah. Well, all right. So you're on the record. Trump's going to win.
Trump's going to win. 100%.
Trump's going to win. He has to win, bro. Can you imagine if he doesn't?
He will win. Yes. Yeah.
Next time you come on, I want to talk about just police. There's so much stuff that I wanted to get into today.
Sure.
But obviously, this was way more important.
Yep.
Let me know what your schedule's like. You can come on again. Thank you, bro.
Anything
else you want to add?
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This is a lot of work, and just to see your messages that you get out there, if you could affect 1% or 2% of the population that think otherwise, and then they see the other side of this, we all want to live safe. We all want to flourish, financially, and nobody wants to have things shoved down our throat that we don't want to do. And that's all Trump's trying to do. He's just trying to provide us with safety, with wealth, and freedom. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
And my messaging is vote for Trump. That's it.
Make America what?
Make America united again. Make America great again.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Hopefully, maybe they'll see it.
Yep.
All right, dude. I'm going to stop recording. Don't go anywhere because the files need to upload.
No problem.
And let me just get rid of this. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.